Hi knitters, welcome to PJ Knits. My name's Penny and I live in Central Illinois and I'm a knitter, a blogger, and a YouTube podcaster. Thanks for dropping by my knitting journal or my portion of the YouTube world. I'm so glad that you stopped by. Today is Thursday, January 12th. In Central Illinois, it is cloudy, windy, breezy, 39 degrees. We're going to get some rain, snow, something like that tonight. A little bit of something. But anyway, and then next week it's going to be in the 40s again. So we have been so fortunate with our weather lately. So Happy New Year, everybody. I probably should have waited and did this on a clearer day, but one never knows when it's going to be clear in Central Illinois. And I had some things that I wanted to talk to you about. I finished a sweater, but I tried to put it on the mannequin here today, and it's not blocked, and I just finished it yesterday. So I want to block it, and then I will show it to you in an upcoming episode. But anyway, I just wanted to come on and talk to you about some knitting that's going on here at PJKnits. So it's a new year, and we've talked about a little bit at the end of the year, of thoughts and plans and knitting journal. And so I'm going to continue talking about that this year. And in this episode, just going to really talk about plans and things like that. So in an upcoming episode, we're going to talk more about some sweaters, but I'm going to tell you about some sweaters that are kind of on my list for in the immediate future, let's say. So anyway, let's get started. I have my handy dandy notes here because I want to make sure that I cover everything that I want to tell you about. First off, I think probably almost everybody that I'm watching right now on a podcast, we're all in kind of the same thought process that we would like to work from our library, work from our stash. I certainly would like to work from my whips as well for 2023. And really what I am calling my particular thought process is that I want to shop my PYS. And PYS was coined by my friend Denise of Lost City Knits. It's called My Personal Yarn Shop. Because I have quite a few quantities of yarn that I have collected over the years into some wire racks, and some of you have seen a little bit of that in previous videos, in the background. And so I really want to work from my my personal yarn shop this year. I say that almost every year, but this year I really want to do that. And that is my thought plan. And so it's not a novel thing, guys, because a lot of knitters are wanting to do that. Couple of things that I will say again that I've said before on the podcast. There's no shaming on your personal yarn stash here. There's no shaming on your stash, your library, or your whips, because this is how I feel about those things that I have. Yes, at some point in time, I put out the money for them, right? But they have brought me so much joy just in the planning and the looking at the project, in my mind knitting it, what I would wear with it, where I would wear it. So I have already got my money's worth out of the enjoyment factor, out of those things, out of my whips, out of my yarn stash, and of the library, just looking at the books or looking at the pattern and dreaming about what that could be. So that's why I say there's no shaming here when it comes to whatever you have in the way of any of those things. So one of the things I would like to do this year is I have multiple bins. And when I say bins, I say the wire racks, that the yarn shops sometimes have. Years ago, I bought those, and I like to be able to look at my yarn. And it is grouped by weights, some by vendors, but I would like to, at least in 2023, I would like to clear out at least one of those bins, either knit it or donate it to someone, or maybe as a giveaway. So that is my kind of sort of plan. I'd love to do that for 2023. Now, I probably have 39 other bins, and unless I live to be over 100, probably won't always happen. I won't get that yarn all knit up before the end, but one never knows, right? So that is just kind of sort of a plan or a goal that I would love to be able to do this year. But again, if I don't, as with all of my knitting and with all of my planning, if I don't get it in the time that I think I want to do it, it can be shoved off to the next month or the next year. There is no shaming here. So I just wanted to say that out there. So one of the things though is my whips. I have a couple of whips, and I've talked before and will talk continually about my knitting journals that I do. And again, this is not for everybody. A lot of people just want to be able to switch gears whenever they want to. And I do as well. It's not like I am, again, holding any of these things, you know, that you must do this before you move on. That's not in my wheelhouse, but these are just kind of plans, things that I would like to do in the pretty penny world, right? So I have listed, I make for every month, and I kind of plop things that I would like to maybe from my library or my stash knit on during that month. Again, as you can see from this particular page, if I don't get it done in that particular month, it gets an arrow to the next month of possibilities. And so I've done that for every month of the year just to kind of keep track of like, oh, remember the Christmas sweater that I wanted to knit? Well, if I don't put it in my kind of plan, then I will forget about it. And in this case, I've kind of put it right back into like July to start thinking about knitting on it maybe in July or June, or if I want to host some knit-alongs in the future, I kind of plop them in. There's Summer of Shawls as a reminder that June, summer starts, right? So I use my monthly pages for that particular kind of just a planning process. But again, there's no hard and fast rules. I don't have to stick with it at any particular time. I can do stage left and do something else. Just give me a kind of sort of plan. So I do put those into my journal, and I just kind of look, keep tabs on that. So I have a couple of the things that I would like to finish some, you know, do some whips. And I pulled them back out since I finished my sweater, my cozy raglan. I finished that from Jessie Made, not Block Jet, and I'll show it to you in a couple of weeks when we talk more about some sweaters. But I finished it yesterday, so then that gave me, I looked at my plan, and I'm like, okay, let's pull out this whip, which is the Yume or Yume, whichever you want to pronounce it, that I bought the yarn. This is by Isabel Kramer. I bought the yarn at Elgin Knitworks last summer when we were up there for the mini meetup. And so now that I finished a sweater, I can pull this one back out. And the fabric on the yarn on this one is Barocco Remix Light in a purplish color. And this yarn, the thing that about this yarn is this will be the perfect transitional sweater. I can start wearing it when it starts to warm up. It is 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. So feasibly, I could be wearing this as a transitional sweater when spring comes, but I could also wear this into spring and maybe even into early summer if I'm in the air conditioning. So I pulled this back out from my whip that I put away last fall because I knew that I had other things that I would be working on. So now it's just some straight knitting down to the bottom. So I pulled this particular whip out because this is on my January list to kind of work on. So that is in my plan to do Yume. And then next up on the list is one that I definitely put away last year. This is called Niagara by Heidi Kermeyer. And it's dreary outside, and I do have my light on today, so I know that this is not as good. But I have Niagara, and I would love to have this done in time for St. Patrick's Day. So after I finish Yume, I will pull this back out and finish it. And this is out of a Sandus yarn. And I'm working on the sleeve right now. And so this is the back. And then the front has these eyelets, which is very much like some of the sweaters that Heidi has designed. So I'm hoping to have this done by March 17th, and definitely will fall into that category that I can wear to the Frivolous and Frugal meetup in next summer, because it'll be perfect for the air conditioning. It's in a green colorway, and so this one can really transition into spring and go right into summer and in the air conditioning and other times. So that one is in my whips and on my plan as well, in my green bag, so I know what it is. So I have that in sort of my whips, things that I want to do immediately, let's put it that way, for my knitting of sweaters right now. The other, one of the things I have on my brain for 2023 is to improve my color work. And those of you who have been following us know that we are doing a Burra multi-podcast Burra Cowl color work knit along. Some of the podcasters are going all the way through the end of the year. Mine is going to go through the end of July, because I would love to have this done in time to wear and take as a completed project, because at that point in time I'm going to be ready to do some more color work. And this is the Burra Cowl by Marie Wallen. And I am using the Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift yarn, the same colors that she has in her cowl from her particular pattern. And so I am using those. I am doing it on a size 3 needle. Instead of the 120 stitches, I'm doing 90 stitches. And we did a cast on here at PJ Knits at midnight on the 1st of January, and then I joined in on James's DudeKnits that on the 1st later in the day for their cast on, and working on that. And what I found is originally I had it on 120 stitches, and I had it on a 24-inch. And as we were doing the cast on it with DudeKnits, it became apparent to me that mine was going to be really wide, which is fine, but it was encompassing all of the 24-inch cable, the 24-inch needle, which meant it was going to be at least 12 inches wide. And I really wanted it to be not that wide, and more in keeping with the pattern itself. Now, it's supposed to be around 8.5 inches wide is what it's supposed to be, and that's kind of what I'm getting. Now, I am a very loose knitter, and the way I do color work makes it a little bit even looser, but what happened was I tried to do it on a size 1 and go down and do the 120 stitches, but I did not like the fabric or the hand of the fabric that I was getting. And this particular one is, I think, is so, for a toothy yarn, once you want a larger needle from me, is much softer. I'm also using this as a swatch, because I would like to do a color work sweater out of the Shetland wool later this year, and so I'm using it as a swatch to figure out what my stitches are per inch and the fabric that I like, and then I'll have to adapt the pattern. But this is part of the cowl that we are doing. On Instagram, the hashtag is for my particular one is hashtag PJKnits Burra Cowl, and the one for the whole entire group is hashtag Burra Cowl 2023. So you can check those things out on Instagram. And if you want to join in, all of the podcasters have different thoughts and processes of how long they're going to do, what they're doing, and there will be prizes along the way. And if you go to the PJ Knits Ravelry group, there's a thread on the Burra Cowl to ask questions, post your pictures, and periodically we're going to have some prizes that will be chosen from that particular thread. So we'd love for you to join us at any time, but if not, just come and lurk and check it out. So that's the Burra Cowl, and I am having so much fun with that. And again, this is my way for 2023 of doing better color work. I've done it many times, but never, it's been a while, and I think you lose that that rhythm when you don't do it all the time. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'd like to have it done, hopefully going to Meg Swanson's knitting camp as well, and be ready to think about what my colorwork sweater is going to be later in the year. So that's one of my my challenges for myself for 2023. Now, well, circle back to sweaters. I want to continue my sweater project for 2023. I want to say, though, I am an equal opportunity knitter. I like knitting shawls and wraps. I like doing sweaters. I like doing socks. I like doing little kids things. So I like knitting. I like all the knitting. Doesn't matter what it is. And I do have a lot of already hand knits. But I also want to knit more sweaters, again, different sweaters. And I want to challenge myself with those sweaters as well. Now, with that said, I would like to do a sweater along down the road in a month or so. Easy peasy sweaters, something that I love those sweaters that you just throw and go, because that's my lifestyle right now. Or something that I can just put on in the house when it's chilly, just throw it on, and easy peasy sweaters. And so we're going to talk about those in the next episode. I'll show you some kind of sort of plans, of what I would like to be knitting. Plus they're good TV knitting or good knitting in public. So with that said, we'll talk about those in the future, a future episode. I'd love to know your thoughts if you would like to be knitting some sweaters. So that's one of the things that I want to do. Also, in that train of thought, to use my personal yarn shop, to use my library, to challenge myself. I have pulled out a project that I purchased the yarn the pattern came out in 2020, so I probably bought the yarn 2021. And I want to knit Susurrus. This is off the cover of Pom Pom. I bought this exact same yarn, and this is one of my projects that I want to do this spring before spring comes. And that is where I am going right now, is I want sweaters that I can wear when spring hits. I don't want to wait until we're well into spring and say, oh, I have a limited wearing time on it. I want to be wearing those now. Just like in the wintertime, I want to be wearing my winter sweaters, right? And then same thing goes for early spring. So this is one of those that every year I think about doing for the springtime. And then spring comes and goes, and I'm like, it's not really a fall sweater, right? So I have pulled this one off of my personal yarn shop shelf, and I have pulled out the hoagie bag that it is in, and I have the yarns as well. And so stay tuned for that. So that is one of the things that's in my journal. I have it down for like about March, but I really want to start it pretty soon, like February-ish. So stay tuned for that Susurrus that I really want to be knitting on. The other couple of things that I would like to be knitting on this spring, for early spring into spring weather, is, and I have the yarns. I finally decided I was on the fence. For those of you who have watched before, I was on the fence about what to do with this cobalt blue linen quilt that I purchased from Pearl Soho. I had thought perhaps it was going to be the easy pullover or something like that. And I got to thinking, I already have my ground peppers, a couple of those, and they are V-necks pullovers. And so I thought I finally decided that I needed to make a decision. And I have decided on Granito, another hoagie pattern for springtime. And this will be, again, a perfect sweater. A bunch of us here are going in May to Knit City in Montreal. And I'm thinking all of these sweaters that I'm talking about today would be perfect sweaters to take and wear up in Montreal in mid-May. I'm not sure what their weather's like, but I'm thinking these would be perfect ones if I could get get going in them. So I have planned on Granito for this spring as well. I'm trying to clear out that bin. Remember I said this bin? And so I had 2 yarns. This particular one I've had, again, this is a Tosh DK. It is sea salt. This yarn goes with this pattern sea salt. I'm fairly certain that this designer, Laura Ayler, used sea salt in it, and this picture, okay, and definitely this picture spurred me on. Does this not just look like a yarn and a sweater that you would wear on the beach in early spring? I think so. And I keep thinking in the pretty penny world again that I'm going to get in the car and go to a beach, you know, North Carolina, South Carolina, and walk along the beach wearing this sweater. So this is one that I have put into my notebook as well. And then finally, this is another Tosh DK from that same bin. This is Molly Ringwald. I've had it since one of our yarn shops closed many years ago. And I finally made, I think, a decision on this. This is another one that I've been eyeballing for quite some time. And we're going to talk about it more in the next episode, because I think this would be a great sweater for a knit along to do. And this is from 2 of Wands. This is called Autumn League Pullover. And on one of the Zooms that I watch with, I participate with James of DudeKnits. One of the ladies is knitting on that particular one, and it kind of just solidified that is the perfect sweatshirty-like pattern, and I think it'd be pretty easy. I know the girls from Cozy Up Knits have knit several of these out of the actual yarn. It has this little, you can't really tell too much, sweatshirty-like here, and it just looks like something that I would love wearing in early spring. And the thing back in the day when our shops were getting Madeline Tosh DK, you couldn't get like a huge amount. You could get, you know, a small sweater quantity. And I think that I've been trying to figure out what to do with this and never had enough of it. So I think this would be a perfect spring, and another thing, possibly something that I knit on while I'm en route to in May. So these are kind of my thought process of what I've got for spring sweaters, and we will talk about those more, like I said, in the next episode. I would love to have you all join me in doing a little sweater knit along, and if this is your first one, I'd love for us to talk about some of those throw and go sweaters. We'll talk about those. I'll have some ideas for you next time, and I'll show you some that I've knitted and some that I think would be fun. So that's the next episode. Stay tuned. Okay, so next up, finished objects. As I said, I have my Cozy Raglan from Jessie Made. I will show you that the next time in depth and talk about that, because I will put it on. I have some notes on my project page in Ravelry, and my name in Ravelry is pennyj, if you want to look at my project page. The group is still called PJKnits, so just want to do that distinction. I could not get PJKnits, it was already with somebody else. So I will show you that. I will show you the Cozy Comfort Raglan in its all finishedness. Next time up, it'll be nice and blocked. One of the Christmas knits that I finished and I gave away to my daughter-in-law, who is very knit-worthy, was a half and half triangles wrap out of multiple colors. She requested one, a wrap to keep her warm, and so I used, and then she gave me a color palette that she was liking, and so I did it in creams and beiges and a brown and a taupey. And again, this is all alpaca. It is a DK weight, so with a I-cord edge. And again, check out my Ravelry project pages to see a really much better, clearer pictures on it. So That was a finished object that she got for her Christmas thing, and that one is kind of done. So, okay. Hashtag mistletoes. There is a thread in our group on Ravelry of mistletoes where you pop your photos in there of your finished socks. Let's talk about socks. I'd love for you to join us in knitting more socks in 2023 and popping them. Every quarter I do a little prize drawing, and so since 2022 is all done, I have a couple of prizes to help to tell you about. The first one is this is Leading Men Fiber Arts Showcase Cherry Blossom is the colorway, and this is the sock yarn that is going to go out to the winner, not winter. And that particular one, random number generated, was winner. The post is number 110, if you'll check that post out. It is Knitting Dancer Teresa, who did a string of light sock, which is really super cool. So congratulations, Teresa, on your win. And this year, I decided to do a yearly prize and picked a book that I thought would be fun and challenging, you know, and hopefully you don't have it, but I thought this was super, super cool and a cool way to challenge you in your sock knitting as well. This is called Charming Colorwork Socks by Charlotte Stone. And so I took all of the yearly socks from last year and did another random generation number, and the winner is post number 115, Knitting Dancer. Congratulations, Teresa. Go out and buy a lottery ticket because you're on a roll. Congratulations for your and her picnic socks is the post. So check her socks, her finished objects out, and I hope that you all will continue to play along next year. Teresa, if you will contact me, you can contact me through the Ravelry or Instagram. I am PJKnits there, or you can email me, PJKnits at pjknitspodcast.gmail.com, and send me your address so I can get your prizes out to you. Congratulations, and thanks for so much playing around. So, okay. Well, couple of things in closing. I'm wearing today tea leaves. I had a meeting today and pulled out tea leaves. And again, if you look in my project pages, you can find out all the info on all of my knits whenever I knit them. I will also, in a couple of days, drop down in the description box, and I will give you all the places and the links of where to go. And I knit this many years ago out on the suggestion of, I tried Corey from Iraq Knits knit it, and I loved it. So I bought the yarn from, this is a Leading Men Fiber Arts, and I believe it's either seaweed or sea glass, don't know. But anyway, that's what this is. It's called Tea Leaves, and it was a fun knit. No knitting adventures planned for January, but I am thinking about making, again, like I said, a little trip somewhere in February to enjoy. So, mail call. I received in the mail from my friend from Knitting Camp, Kathy, some merit badges. I received these. I thought they were super, super cool. Camp Knitter, Pattern Navigator, and Tangle Tamer. I thought that was so fun. Thank you, Kathy, for these. This was such a surprise to get these in the mail. So, that is what I have for you for this time. Next time we'll talk about knitters. We'll talk about knitters. We'll talk about sweaters. I want to ask you a question. Give me some info, some feedback somewhere. Are you interested in doing a Zoom on Saturday nights or Sunday nights? For me, I find that those are the times when I have quiet times where I'm feeling a little bit alone. And I'm wondering if anybody would would enjoy a Saturday night or a Sunday night Zoom. So comment below and we'll see what we can do about that. So next time we're going to talk about sweaters. If you want a sweater knit along, there's a lot of things planned for this new year. And I hope you're knitting something fun. So until next time, knit on with confidence and hope through all crises. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll catch you on the purl side.